Okay, now we're going to get into a little scripting of objects. So first, we'll create a folder for our C# scripts that we'll be adding. So create folder, and we'll call it scripts. Okay, let me just collapse these. Nope, I don't want to collapse that yet. So we're going to bring back our player object, pull the prefab into our scene, collapse sprite renderer, and we're going to add script, a new script, the player object. And we'll name this MovementController. Okay. So our script is at the assets level, so we're going to move it into our scripts folder. And then we're going to open it. And we should see Visual Studio eventually come up. Okay, so Visual Studio is up with a seeded version of MovementController with a stub for the start method and update method. Now recall that the author has given us scripts and art assets for this game. So if we go back into our chapter 3 directory, you'll notice that there's a MovementController.cs already there. So we're just going to double click that. That will bring it inside our Visual Studio. I'm going to say Control A and copy it. Basically paste the author's version into the version we have in our directory and save it. And I'm going to X out of the chapter 3 version. Now this version of the script is really only germane for chapter 3. It's going to change significantly as the game evolves, but for now it's going to basically control the changing of animation states. So we'll get back to the script. Let's get back to our game. We have some additional programming of the animations to make this script work. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to configure our animation states so that this code will actually work. So we go back, select the player object, and let's get some more space here for its animations. Zoom in a little bit here. Okay, let's move player idle out of the way, and we'll just set these up motion states. So the first thing we want to do is right click on player idle. We want to make this the default state. So notice now if we start the game that our player character is idling. Much too fast, but it's idling. And see, we're getting a lot of errors because of the animation states are not programmed to work with MovementController. So let's just clear those errors and keep going with our animation configuration. Okay, next we want to create some transitions. So select any state and right mouse select make transitions and connect that to player walk east. And we're going to do the same thing to create transitions from any state to each of these other movement animations. Player walk west, north and south as well. Okay, that looks good. Okay, next we're going to create a integer parameter called animation state that will drive the selection of these different animations that we've created. So plus here under parameters, this is an integer that in the code will be represented as a C# enum, and we'll name this animation state. Okay, now we're going to use our animation state as the means to transition into each of these east, west, north, south states. So we select, in turn, each transition, open settings, make sure has exit time is unchecked. And basically everything is unchecked. Unchecked fixed duration, 0, duration, transition, interruption source is set to current state, then next state. And then scrolling down, we want to have a condition when animation state is equal to 1. So in animation state, that integer parameter is set to 1, we're going to transition into player walk east. Okay. Next, we'll do west. Okay, so we actually have to make sure that these state values match what's in the movement controller. So east is set to 1. For doing west, that value has to be 3. So we'll go back in here, program this transition to west, uncheck fixed duration, make this 0, interruption source should be current and next. And then when we go down, we must add our condition for west is animation state equals 3. Next, north, let's check our enumeration. North animation state is 4. So I'll go through the same exercise. Select north, oops, select the transition to north, uncheck 0, current state to next state, and then down to condition, which is animation state equals 4 for north. South, so let's double check here. South animation state is 2. So we'll unclick this. Set that to 0. Current and next state. Animation state equals 2. And let's see. We also want to set the speeds of all the animations to 0.6. I think we just did that for 1. 0.6 there. Walk north. Speed 0.6. Speed for south 0.6. I think for idle we want 0.25. One last thing, each of these transitions I forgot to check off these ordered interrupt in condition 2. So we'll just whip through the transitions and fix that. Uncheck these. And let's see if we play our game now. I'm going to use the arrow keys. Now we should see the movement controller is now giving us the correct transition states. Now it looks like we're missing transition into the idle state, so I'm going to take entry, just drag it down here, player idle up here, transition from any state to idle. Let's see, we already did the speed there, so select this transition, open up settings, go through the same drill. Automation state, and let's go back to our Visual Studio just to verify idle. Five. Okay, so when we play our game, we can see that when we move the character, he does the right thing. When we stop moving him, he goes into the idle state. So this looks correct. So how does this, just quickly, if we go into the script, how does this work? The movement controller has sort of two components. A component of changing the state and moving the character. So move character is just getting the movement from the arrow keys or WASD keys. And these are controlling the velocity, which is a component of the rigid body. So here we're just taking the arrow key and normalizing that, and then multiplying that by the normalized movement by the speed of the movement controller, which can be updated in the inspector. So that's a simple way of programming the movement given the horizontal and vertical input keys. Then to update the state is looking at the direction of the movement. So if, for example, if X is positive, it means we're walking east. Likewise, X is negative, we're going west. And if we're not moving, then we're going into the idle state. So a simple script that's controlling the animations, and we're mapping, sort of using this nice C# enumeration to encode all of these different animation states. So that is it for this video, and that concludes Foundations, Chapter 3 of our 2D textbook.